welcome to Yesterday, Today, Tomorrow. My name is Mariana Cordier, and I am your host. Across the state of Maryland, many centers of the arts are getting back to their regularly programmed and scheduled performances. To discuss the journey and hurdles to reach this point, I have three fantastic guests. I have Lynn, Andreas Arndt. She's the CEO of BlackRock Centers for the Arts. Andre Mazelin, he's the senior manager at the Prince George's Community College Center for Performing Arts. And Brooke Kidd, who's the executive director of Joe's Movement Emporium. Welcome, everybody. I'm so glad to have you on the show. I'm going to start with Lynn, because I wanted to ask you, how did you guys survive the pandemic, and are you guys ready for this fall?
That is a great question. We survived because of the support of the community. Like every other arts center, we were one of the first to be closed and really had to struggle to find ways to remain relevant. When we closed, there was no earned income from rentals, education, performances, everything stopped. So our team were very creative. They adapted new skills. They moved to a virtual platform. And something that I think is really important is that they focused on local artists, because it's not just our earned income. The ripple effect of closures affected every visual artist, every performing artist, and all the support staff, the teams, the front and back end offices. The industry was shut down. And so we thought of ways to be creative. We used our outdoor stage. We worked within the COVID requirements. We did as many things as we possibly could do, both virtually and in outside venue, to keep the arts alive, to keep it relevant, to support artists, and to continue to create the sense of community that's needed right now. The arts are so important.
A lot of people during the pandemic really had to rely on the distraction and the entertainment of the arts.
And I totally agree with that. And if you think about it, the art that's coming out of this time period is going to be so important to tell the story. One of the first exhibits we did online is the Quotable Quarantine. It was an exhibit, a juried exhibit for youth from kindergarten through high school. 156 students, children, young adults entered, and the artwork, they had to provide a piece of art and a quote about what the quarantine meant for them. It's the most moving exhibit, and it will be hung here at BlackRock. We're opening our doors for the first time for in-person art experiences. We have performances on Friday night, a VIP event, which is tickets are $65, but there will be a chamber ensemble in our K gallery with art hanging on the walls. And the Montgomery College Jazz Ensemble will be in our rooftop terrace. And then for the first time in a year and a half, the DuPont Brass will take our main stage, and it'll be great to have people back in the building, but it'll be different because everybody is going to have to show proof of vaccination, and everyone will have to wear a mask, because that's our new normal right now. And that's how we're going
to keep. Not to interrupt you, but when is this exhibit or this event going to happen?
Friday night, September 17th, starting at 7:00. And then on Saturday, the 18th, we're having an open house for youth and families. It's an all-day event with free performances from 10 in the morning until a movie shown on our lawn starting at 8:00. We have some great people helping. We have this particular tattoo artist who comes, Mari. But what's really important is people need to be together. People love the center. The community loves the arts, and they're waiting to come back in, and they want to know that, and they can't wait to be welcomed back in to see a performance on this stage. It's soothing, it's important for their well-being. That is something that clearly came across during the pandemic as BlackRock opened a food distribution hub, the Up County hub, in feeding people from the K Gallery that couldn't be used. And there were moments where we were feeding the children to whom we were offering our classes virtually that the community foundations funded.
That's amazing. That's really awesome that you guys were able to do that. Andre, being in Prince George's Community College, your environment's a little bit different. What did your centers of arts do to overcome the pandemic, and what are you guys looking to do this fall?
Well, the pandemic hit right at the end of our first season, so we didn't even get through one full season. So we canceled shows just like everyone else, went home for a time, but then felt that we needed to come back and provide something for the community because everybody was stuck home. So we pushed through and provided 40 free performances throughout the pandemic. We came back in August and started with a talk by Ibram Kendi, which Brooke was a part of that presentation, which was hugely successful at the right time because we're right in the middle of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and all that was going on with the protests, people being out in the streets. So we came back in July to present that, and then the next month, as I said, that was hugely successful around the world. Over 200,000 folks viewed that conversation. And then we came
Is that
back.
still up on your website?
No, unfortunately, we had to take it down. But it was a great conversation between him and our then president, Dr. Dukes. And then we just forged forward and put forward many types of performances, magic shows. We had the Prince George's Philharmonic a few times. We had Ballet Theater of Maryland a few times. We had some of our faculty came in and played because they were also, wanted to knock the rust off. So we persevered, and of course we didn't charge anything. So it was a totally income-less year for us, but we felt just like so many of my partners here that it was necessary. It was something that we needed to do for the community and frankly for our own peace of mind and well-being, because this is what I love to do. This is what we all love to do. So sitting at home just wasn't an option once we could get out safely and figure out how to do it safely. And as Lynn said, we picked up new skills. Fortunately, we have a TV studio here on campus, so we were able to pull some of those assets into the theaters and record and figure out how to stream and get it done. And we're going to keep that going into the next year and the coming years because we've developed an online audience and an online presence. So the benefit of the pandemic is that we learned, not only did we connect with our community in different ways and connect with our families in different ways because we had no other choice, but we also picked up a tool to keep in touch with people around the world who maybe have never heard of us before, but now they have. So that's how we made it through.
Yeah, Andre, I agree with you. There were opportunities for provider of arts during COVID there, to expand a base that we had not considered before.
Mm-hmm.
An artist reception that may have had 30 became a global reception with a couple hundred.
Yeah.
Because we learned how to do virtual galleries. Now, does it replace an in-person experience? Not necessarily, but it does expand the audience.
Absolutely.
So there were a number, like you said, lessons learned, and you just had to jump into it as an opportunity. Is it a hurdle? Is it an opportunity? You had to make it work.
That's
I like
awesome.
that saying, when a challenge comes, you go through it or you get over it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And is there anything that you guys are doing special or in particular that you'd like the audience to know about this fall?
Yeah, well, let's just start with this month. We're celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month on the 21st with a virtual performance. This one we're maintaining virtual only, of Afro-Cuban All-Stars. The band leader is Juan DeMarcos, whose voice you'll hear in Vimeo. If you haven't seen Vimeo, check it out. So we're starting that on the 21st, and then we have Bluebird Blues Festival, which will be in person, on campus, outdoors. The 25th year of the Bluebird Blues Festival, headlining Guitar Shorty. So that's what we're getting into this month, and many, many more events after that. We have 50 lined up for this season, and you could find all that on our website at pgcc.edu/arts.
All right, do that one more time, slow.
pgcc.edu/arts.
Awesome. And not to be last least, but Brooke, I have heard so many awesome things about Joe's Movement Emporium. Unfortunately, I've never had a chance to go and catch an event. But tell me, how was it, that experience for you guys, and what do we have to look forward to in the fall?
Yeah, very similar things that my colleagues have shared about supporting artists in this past year to be in the virtual space and expand their awareness of some of the great creativity on a local level. We too built skills, acquired more technology, and it's been really wonderful to start to have more in-person activities. To be safe, we have focused on animating our outdoor space. Luckily, we have our own parking lot, and we just turned the back half into a temporary stage. And last fall, we experimented with a couple months of programs, and it was so wonderful. And then we began in late April and have had a performance almost every weekend. And we have a lot coming up in September and October because we have a couple rain dates that we're making up from this very damp summer. So there's this coming Friday, we have the Amplify celebration, which was a virtual showcase that was created for young artists of color to give them supports and a new audience. And they'll be on stage in person. It's quite an incredible lineup. And then Saturday is an improbable comedy showcase called Comedy as a Second Language, and it's featuring all Hispanic comedians.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Nice.
And it's perfect for Hispanic Heritage Month too.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about, for the audience that's not familiar with exactly what Joe's Movement Emporium is, can you give a little bit of background about the organization and what they do?
Great, yes, thank you. Well, we're in our 26th year, and we are a cultural arts hub, and we support artists with time, space, and money to present, teach, and rehearse. We're very much a working performing arts center where we have a number of studios and a small theater where we present a lot of works in progress, new commissions, kind of incubated work, along with a season of performances. And we mostly feature local, but we've had some national and international acts as well. We pull from all mediums, but we have a fondness for arts that represent specific cultures. So we have a lot of world cultural dance and music.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And what has been the appetite or the community's response to coming to your locations to enjoy a performance or a presentation?
Since we only offered, we offered in-person classes throughout the year. There was one period of time when the number of COVID cases spiked so significantly around the holidays that even then we felt that we should postpone the classes. But we were always very careful of the COVID regulations, especially with operating the hub. We were very careful about who came into this space, wearing masks, temperature checks. Now, what I'm seeing is there's almost a difference, and I don't know if Andre and Brooke, you're experiencing the same thing. There are some people who just cannot wait to come to a performance. There are others that I still believe are a bit hesitant. And our policies, I hope, will give them the reassurance that we're offering arts in the safest way possible. But we have to be aware of just the differences that everyone's coming from a different place and they've had different experiences this past year, and being sensitive to how they feel. I hope that we're going to create an environment where people will feel safe, where we're offering refreshments on the outdoor stage. You know, you can't, there's not, you can't walk around with your glass of wine, and there won't be food in the building because you'll stay masked.
Mhm.
Those are all the little things that we're doing, but it's really understanding that people have come through and are still coping with a great deal of stress, and what we do and what we offer is important, and just to have an understanding and patience.
We actually haven't had people in the building yet. We will do so in October, but we did take advantage of the nice summer nights, and we had Prince George's Philharmonic on the front steps of the center, which was beautiful. Couldn't ask for a more perfect evening. And people came out with their lawn chairs. It was bring your own lawn chair. And people showed up with their lawn chairs, and we had a food truck out there and a portable bar. And you got the sense that people wanted to be out and about and around each other. So I hope that transitions into what we're doing this fall. You know, people are all over the place, my own family included. We can't all agree on the correct approach, but I hope that enough people will do the right thing, and take care of themselves, and then join us in the center, because I feel we're not mandated yet that you have to have a vaccine to come into the building, but we will be by the time that show happens. So I think we're all moving in that direction. So it's kind of
Well,
a new
Andre, let's stay in
reality.
touch. I'll let you know how Friday night goes.
Oh, definitely, Lynn. Definitely. I need those notes. But before
Well,
I
and I think
pass it
we're
to
also lucky to be in Maryland. I mean, you know,
well,
we're
yeah,
in a good jurisdiction that had very good leadership. So, you know,
there's
both state and county, different county leadership. So, but
yeah.
One of the things that I hear so often is the artists who are appearing on the outdoor stage say, you know, this is my first show in a year and a half, and it's really, really important, and this feels so good.
And how are they, have the artists commented to you, Brooke, in any way about what they've had to do or adjust to survive during the periods where the venues were closed or not open?
Yeah, people have just been in a virtual environment to teach or perform in many instances, especially musicians, but even dancers have found ways to engage with virtual performances. And it's not as satisfying. I mean, I teach a weekly yoga class, and it's much more fun to have bodies in your space than just little Zoom squares.
Mhm.
But you know, that's the fundamental creativity of our community is they adapt, they make it work.
Well, I do on the side have a hobby of doing airbrush tattoos and painting and stuff. And I have to admit that I feel more inspired when I'm around others than if I'm just holed up in my house just practicing or painting. So I can't imagine that it was very easy for the artists through this challenging time. But I have a question about how the arts survive funding and how the pandemic may have affected that. What have you guys experienced?
I have to say that I am very, very grateful to Susan Jenkins and the Arts and Humanities Commission in Montgomery County, and to our executive and council for supporting the arts with the emergency funding. I think every arts organization has to have a great grant writer right now to take advantage of every single emergency funding opportunity that is out there, from the federal to the state to the county level. And I think the most important person in my organization right now is the woman sitting outside my office. Because as Andre said, you know, earned income, it was non-existent.
Got you. And what about financial support through fundraising in the community? Are you guys, did that come through, or is that something that you have to ramp up now? Andre or Brooke?
Oh, sure. It's a mix. We've had people who gave extra because they wanted to make sure we were okay and express that, which was so moving and what you needed to hear to kind of get through those difficult moments. And I'd say the first month before we had any emergency funds kick in, boy, the parents of our arts education program called Club Joe's, which is a daily after school program, they really held us together. They were champions. A couple
That's
of
awesome.
people did too. They really kept paying forward. But it's tricky now. I mean, I'm confused as to what to expect from the next Federal Recovery Act. And, we're 6 months after it's been approved. So there's a strange, slow response to how this next source of national funding will trickle down. And I mean, our supports have run out now. And I think we're back to kind of this hesitant space where, we're really not sure what to expect over the next year as our revenue is still very suppressed.
Gotcha. And Andre, how do you in the community college environment see this?
Yeah, well, like Lynn said, we were writing grants. We applied for State Arts Council, Prince George's Arts and Humanities, NEA. We just submitted to the NEA ARP. I think the deadline was the 2nd, maybe, of September. So we're writing grants, but luckily we had a budget and we had already paid a lot of our artists for the year, and we just decided to eat that and give them, keep them kind of whole and having a paycheck, and we just accepted that we weren't going to make any funds. And then, like Brooke said, it's really uncertain for this year because you don't know. We did a free virtual model last year. Will that transition into paid virtual, and then who's going to show up? So it's all a wait and see. We're programmed. We're going to do our best. We're going to show up and ready to greet people, but we don't know who's going to be at the doors when we open them. So we'll see. I hope the funding will continue. It's not over. COVID isn't over, and we still need the support. The arts are very vital to carrying people through, whether it's TV arts, movie arts, music arts, or theater, live theater arts. It was vital. That's what people were tuned into to make it through this pandemic. So similarly, we need that support to continue as well, because we're definitely not through this.
And Andre, is there a way for the community or anyone who's watching who wants to donate funds? Is there a way of being able to do so for your program?
Yeah, we do have a foundation, Prince George's Community College Foundation, the Office of Institutional Advancement, and we're actually launching a new initiative called Friends of the Arts in October, where folks can donate to support the arts programs. We're not only a performing arts center, we're also a school. So the students have needs. Their classrooms they're brand new now, but they'll need upkeep and maintenance. There's a lot of technology in this building, and technology fades fast. So this fund is being developed and launched to keep that foundation under all we do to go forward, and to be able to provide free arts programming, because we would like to maintain that. We've introduced pay what you can. So if you don't have anything and you want to come, you can still come. If you want to give more, like Brooke said, some people would like to give more. And we have seen in early ticketing reports that people are giving a little bit more. You can give more. So we'd like to keep the accessibility, most importantly, keep that accessibility there for the community to come in. And these things require funding. So Champion of the Arts launching next month.
And Brooke, does your organization take charitable contributions?
Oh, yeah. And there's a support button on our website, which is joesmovement.org.
Okay, so say that again so that people can.
joesmovement.org.
Great. And what about BlackRock, Lynn? Do you guys have a way for folks to contribute and make charitable donations?
Yes, and I hope people donate often.
The answer is always yes.
The answer is always yes. BlackRockCenter.org, and everybody who makes a donation of $65 or more becomes a member and will be able to join us for Friday night. But this is an art center that really supports our community, but we depend on the community to support us. So we look forward to opening our doors, and I hope to see you. And actually, I wish everyone on the show good luck. Brooke and Andre, you know, hang in there. We have an important job, and this is our world. We just have to keep operating in our world.
That's
too,
very
Lynn.
well said. We've got about a minute left. Andre, do you want to have the last words?
Well, I just want to correct the record because I said Vimeo. You could tell how in my virtual world I am, because I said Vimeo when I was talking about Juan's film. It's Vivo. So if you haven't seen that on Netflix, check that out, Vivo. He's a wonderful Cuban man, and he's just fantastic in that movie. I have nothing else to say except thank you for having me here. Support local arts, support Joe's Movement Emporium, support BlackRock, support Prince George's Community College Center for Performing Arts. This has been a wonderful experience, and I'm always happy to connect with my colleagues out there doing the same work. They motivate me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And I really appreciate you guys coming on and sharing this experience with me and the audience. I'd like to thank the audience for watching and think about maybe making a donation to some of these organizations. You can catch us on YouTube, and we also are on Facebook. Until next time, goodbye.